Hello and welcome to this pre-recorded webinar about the Stay and Learn that took place in Year 2 at the start of November. We welcomed parents in to see a maths lesson into Year 2, and for those that couldn't make it or those who would like a reminder of some of the things we discussed, we hope you find this recording useful. On the day, we shared our expectations for teaching and learning across DBSJP and how we align those to the UK national curriculum and expectations in the UK. Ms Healy, who will talk later on, talked about the expectations of the maths curriculum in Year 2 and how you can support your child with maths at home. Here at DBSJP, our curriculum is broad, balanced and skills rich. It's rooted in the UK national curriculum and the objectives that the teachers deliver day in, day out at the core come directly from that UK curriculum. Each school is unique in the way they deliver those objectives, but the end goal remains the same for all schools covering the UK national curriculum. We refer to our core subjects as English, Maths and Science, and they're supplemented here in the UAE with Arabic and Islamic as well. We also have the benefit here at DBSJP of having specialist teachers for the arts, PE and languages. These are some of the favourite areas that our children experience across the week, and it means they get an amazing, really well-rounded experience of education that not all children have access to. The progression of knowledge from year to year builds on previous concepts taught and looks to how children can apply those skills and knowledge ideas in not just that one discrete subject, but across the whole curriculum. Skills are built on year, and while some objectives may be similar, that progression is carefully mapped out by the teachers, as I'll explain later. We develop other skills in the children as well, namely independence, resilience and responsibility, and you'll see those in all of our lessons, no matter what the subject. So what makes Year 2 special? In Year 2, we look at developing increased independence from Year 1. Children are encouraged to take more responsibility for their learning, organisation and problem solving. They have access to adults in the classroom, both a full-time homeroom teacher and learning assistant, but they will have less direct adult support and they're encouraged to use resources around the room like the enable table or the working walls. Building upon the progression of knowledge and skills, there's a higher academic expectation as well upon the children. This might mean writing for greater lengths of time or sitting through a slightly longer teacher input as they can maintain that focus a bit more than when they're in Year 1. We're also preparing children for Key Stage 2, so Years 3 and above. That includes not only just the development of skills and confidence and routines, but also that transition to more formal assessments. This year, your children experience for the first time the NGRT reading assessment as an example of a formal assessment. That being said, we still put a greater emphasis and weighting on teacher assessments. Your child's class teacher sees your child day in, day out, and they know what your child is capable of outside of a test condition where some children don't perform on the day. I've mentioned this briefly already, but how we plan our curriculum comes right back to the national curriculum for England. It has some very broad objectives, and each individual teacher or year group or school can interpret those objectives however they wish. Knowing the context of the school, knowing the interests of the children, they will plan their long-term plan which covers the whole academic year. They're ensuring they've got coverage of the curriculum and also ensuring they have progression from the previous year, whilst ensuring that when children leave at the end of the year, they're ready for their next year group. In this case, the children are ready for Year 3. From our long-term plans, we create termly curriculum maps. These cover the objectives that the children will be experiencing and may name or state specific activities the children will take part in. Up until this point, all of these plans are the ideal scenario, but not until we start teaching the children do we know how well they're going to engage in the lesson, any previous understanding or knowledge that they have, or maybe some misconception that need addressing. So from our weekly plans, we look at ongoing assessment, we reflect and we adjust our planning to suit. So our weekly plans, again, planned as an intended outcome may change from day to day, as one class has a better understanding than another one, or maybe they need more explanation and longer time taken to cover an objective. We have to be flexible on the slide in front of you with the second half, because it's about ensuring all children understand what's being covered and no child leaves a lesson with a misconception. Something we worked on here at DBSJP in the last couple of years is visible learning, ensuring that children understand what they're learning, why they're learning it, and how they're going to be successful. We share with the children clear learning intentions. How does this lesson fit in with the sequence of lessons? How are they going to use this lesson to support them further down the line or with a given outcome? We share success criteria with the children, and we encourage the children to assess themselves against that success criteria. It's so they know what good progress looks like. They know if they've been successful, and they can identify their own next steps in learning. Teachers are there to question and to guide deeper thinking, and we always encourage active collaboration and reflection. I'm now going to hand over to Miss Healy, who's going to talk to you more about maths in Year 2.
Hi, I'm Miss Healy. I am the head of primary maths here at DBSJP. So, talking about why maths is important in Year 2, as you can see, it is really important in building strong number sense. It's all about building the solid foundations, and at this stage, students, they should have a strong sense of number, because we're still focusing on numbers up to 100, which will build on from what they did in the previous couple of years in their education. So it's really securing those key fluency facts as well, that they keep repeating and consolidating and learning deeper. It helps develop reasoning and problem solving. When they're in Year 2, they're starting to think more about the why and the how, and explaining more about why they think something and proving why something might be true. It helps bridge the concrete to abstract understanding of maths. So what we mean by that is how we show maths practically, how can we also represent that in a more abstract way as well? And so students are using a CPA approach to bridge that understanding and move between those practical lessons to what that might look like in pictures, and then writing it as written calculations as well. It's really important because it does also support everyday life skills. We like to build in a lot of real life links into our maths lessons in Year 2 so that they can start to make that connection to maths in everyday life. And it gives them that positive mindset and that confidence as they do move further up the school as well, when the numbers do begin to go beyond 100. So what we saw in the lesson today was the objective of adding two-digit numbers. And we saw a lot of real life connections, as I did just mention, where students were able to apply adding two numbers together when visiting a shop. So they were purchasing two items and they had to use their addition skills to find out the total of those two items. They did this through the CPA approach, which I've just mentioned. So they made it using concrete materials first before writing that as an abstract calculation. The students were very involved in their own assessment. So they were provided with steps to success, so they knew exactly which steps to follow, so they knew what to do next. This allowed them to confidently be successful when it came to adding those two-digit numbers together. The students also had access to challenges so that they had the opportunity to go deeper into their thinking and their understanding of adding two-digit numbers as well, where they were solving missing number problems and having to explain and prove why something might have been the answer. These support and scaffolds that were put in place to allow all students to be successful during the lesson, as mentioned previously, was the manipulative, so the actual base 10, the tens and ones that they could build to add, but also addition maths, which the students find really helpful, where it helps them set out their method as well. Parents got involved today by assisting their child in attending the shop, but also by facilitating their learning. So not necessarily telling them what to do next, but asking the children themselves, what do you think the next thing that we need to do is, so that you can add these two numbers successfully. And some questions along the side here are great for parents to use at any point, but they were used today, such as what are you learning today? It could be, what have you learned today? Why were you learning this? How did you know you were successful? And we really encourage the students in lessons to be able to answer these types of questions. The parents involved today were helping the students explain their mistakes, where they went wrong, and encouraging them to use those steps to success which are described to identify where they might have gone wrong, which step they might have missed out, and really giving the students the ownership of talking about their progress. So how you can help at home, as I just mentioned about some of the questions anyway, they're definitely ones that we encourage you to ask your child, but other ideas, talking about maths in everyday life and also helping make that understanding between why maths is important, why are we learning it, because it does apply to the everyday, going shopping, cooking, telling the time, so getting them involved in that and having those discussions when you are doing those things outside of school. Encouraging quick recall. Students, we want them to be confident with their number bonds to 10 and to 20, their doubles and halves, and their times tables. So in year 2, it's the 2s, the 5s, and the 10 times tables. So just different opportunities, just giving them the opportunity to recall those number facts. Asking how and why questions, which I have mentioned previously. That's what we're doing in school to help deepen their learning, but it's definitely something that we encourage them to be exposed to all the time, so even at home as well. Why have you given that answer? Can you prove it to me? Explain it to me. Celebrating effort. So mistakes are part of the students' learning journey, and it's how they learn. So we want to celebrate all students putting in the effort in school and outside of school into learning maths. It's not just about the accuracy. And using visuals and any real life objects. Obviously we have many different manipulatives in school that the students can use, but thinking outside the box, thinking about using 10s and 1s as pasta, peas, coins, Lego, so thinking about how you can use what you've got at home to support with those number visuals as well.
Thanks, Miss Healy, and thank you to everyone who joined us in the morning. And if you couldn't join us, please look out for another opportunity to come in and see your child's learning in a future parent workshop or showcase event.